Presenting Yellowstone. We're talking about a sleeping Godzilla underneath Yellowstone that, if it erupts in a maximum eruption called Category 8, it could literally tear the guts out of the United States of America. Instead of having 50 states of the Union, we would only have 30 states of the Union. Now that's Category 8. This report looked at Category 7, which is much more likely once every 1,000 years rather than once every million years. That means in every century, there's a 10% chance that somewhere on the planet Earth, there could be a supervolcanic Category 7 eruption. That's the danger.
You just talked about a volcano that could wipe out 20 states. How in the world is that possible?
Well, it's happened before. 2.1 million years ago, 1.3, and also 0.6 million years ago. We have the evidence of a gigantic eruption that is sufficient to tear the guts out of the US of A. So this report has to be taken seriously.
Because tectonic activity right now, depending on which seismologist you read or which publication you look at, but they're pretty much all lining up now, agreeing that this is the most seismic activity ever recorded since they began to record globally about 100 years ago.
But that's what's making us very nervous, because the cycle time corresponds to the present day era. So every single burp, murmur of this gigantic potential supervolcano, including the rise of the sea level, has to be watched very carefully.
What type of damage are we talking about here?
We're talking about immediate damage out to 100 miles from the site. That is total devastation, basically wiping out everything in sight. However, the real damage goes out to 500 miles if you include volcanic ash, poisonous gases, death of wildlife and vegetation, and that's a ring about 1,000 miles across. That's the heartline of America.
It would pretty much wipe out Earth as we know it?
It would wipe out the United States as we know it. And again, we don't want to panic anybody. It could happen tomorrow, or it could happen 100,000 years from now. Eventually, the law of averages catches up to you.
What would we get in the way of warnings, Michio?
You don't get much warning. What happens is the ground starts to rise, more and more earthquakes take place, more ash and volcanic gases start to be unleashed. That's about the only warning we get, because we do not have a good way to predict volcanic eruptions.
Would there be anything we could do to prepare?
All you can do is run. Several weeks in order to begin evacuation if and when such an unlikely event were to take place.
Are we getting a better way to do it, or are we just at the mercy of Mother Nature?
We're still clueless. We're still monitoring it very carefully, looking for the warning signs. That's why this sudden rise in the Earth, even though it's not immediately dangerous, is being looked at very carefully, because we have no experience with supervolcanoes. We've seen Mount St. Helens, we've seen Krakatoa, but a supervolcano erupting in our lifetime, we have no understanding of the scope of that thing. We just see the evidence of previous eruptions. It's black magic trying to predict exactly when it's going to blow, but we do know one thing: one day it will blow.